Ladies and gentlemen, you are about to witness the most famous game, literally the most famous chess game of all time. And we are today not going to waste any time and we are going to jump straight to the game. So, the game is called the Opera House game because it was played in the Italian Opera House on a night of 1858 between Paul Charles Morphy and well, I'm sorry, the starting position is obviously this. It was played between Paul Charles Morphy and two gentlemen whose names were Count Iso. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce that, and the Duke Karl of Brunswick. So, and the story goes like this: they were in the middle of an opera, and Paul Charles Morphy was getting bored. So, his friends just invited. He wanted to watch the opera, and he was also getting bored. So they invited him to a chess game, which Morphy reluctantly accepted, and this is what happened. So they were both playing with the black pieces, and Paul Morphy made his first move e4, which he usually does. Now, the game started with the e4, which is a common book move, which is a very common move. Uh, they responded with e5, nothing to analyze here, knight f3, and this move d6. Now, this move d6 is not very common. It can be considered a very passive move because it allows white to take the full center with the move d4. Now, this is all theory. Obviously, we are not into any deep territory yet. So black plays this move bishop to g4. Now what this move does is it pins this knight to this queen, and well, black is basically threatening to take the knight and then take the pawn, because the queen would have to take, otherwise white's pawn would get doubled. So seeing that, Morphy plays these one of the best moves in the position, which is given an inaccuracy by the engine, which is a fault of the engine. This is not an inaccuracy. So if they were to take the pawn, Morphy would just take the queen and take this pawn, so they would be at a loss of material. So they first took the knight, which is a mistake, by the way. You are supposed to play the move knight to c6 in this position, which is given by the engine, because you have to catch up in development, which you will see why this move is considered the gold standard for development in chess. They took the pawn, they took the knight, Morphy took back with the queen, they took the pawn. Now the position looks fine, right? What I mean, white just has a queen out and symmetrical pawns, and it's white's move, so white does have an extra move. Morphy plays the move bishop to c4, threatening this checkmate on f7, which shockingly they saw and defended with knight to f6, which is given a mistake by the computer, because I will give you a second, by the way, here, if you can find the move by yourself, if you haven't seen the game. It is a double attack. Congrats to those who found it, because the move is queen to b3, attacking this pawn and this pawn, both of which cannot be guarded at the same time. If you are wondering, by the way, after this move, black had to defend with something like queen, with his queen, with queen here, or queen to d7 or something like that. So when white played this move, this pawn would not be attacked because this pawn would be guarded and black would just guard the other pawn. So that's not what happened. Morphy played queen to b3. He guarded this pawn, which can be considered a mistake. And if you are wondering, no, this does not win the full rook, because what this move does is it guards this pawn, but it also prepares this check. So if it was not for this check, black would be losing the rook, which he is not in this position. So white would have to trade the queens and they would just be down a pawn, which would still be losing, but at least it's defendable. So that's obviously not what happened. One Morphy in this position, he did not take the pawn, by the way. which is obviously the best move. You 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 just attack two pawns and you have to take it, right, to gain your advantage. No, that's not what Morphy did. Morphy played knight to c3. Now this is why this game is used as the gold standard for development, because nobody plays this. And he played it in the romantic era of chess, obviously, for all the engines and stuff. And what this move does is it activates a piece which can jump into the position, and it can cause some problems. Or if he's not greedy for a pawn, he does not want to win an end game. He wants to win in the romantic style. So counter-attacking the knight, counteracting the knight, black plays this move, which is the best move. This move also guards this pawn and it prevents the knight from jumping around. So Morphy keeps developing. Obviously, he develops the bishop. Now look at his pieces. This queen, this bishop, this knight, and this bishop all are just eyeing black's position, ready to jump in, ready to do things. And black does not have the pieces out. So black plays this move, pawn to b5, which is a huge mistake. Can you figure out why? Why is it a mistake? I mean, white has to go back, right? Otherwise, white loses the bishop. The bishop cannot go forward. The knight cannot go forward. Nothing in white's position can go forward. So maybe something like here. No! Morphy in this position sacrifices the knight, which is given a brilliancy by the computer. Now, if you are wondering, of course, black has to take. Black has to take, or black can. If you are wondering, this move actually does not win a piece, because white can play this move c3, which would attack the bishop. And if this were to happen, this comes with a check, so white would take back the bishop afterwards. So this does not win a piece. So Morphy sacrificed the knight, took back with the bishop. Now the only move which holds on the game. There are a few moves. I mean, you can go here, and this would actually be an insane move to play. So they went with the natural choice, which is knight to d7 and Morphy castle. Long castle. That's a gangster move, by the way, because now look at this bishop. This bishop is spinning the knight to this king. This bishop is spinning the knight to the queen. This rook is putting pressure on the knight. How do you even defend? Look at this. Nobody is actually guarding the knight, because you cannot take with the queen, you cannot take with the king, you cannot take with this knight, otherwise you lose the queen. So black does what he can do. He defends the knight with the rook. But what Morphy does is absolutely crazy here. He sacrifices the rook on this square because he has backup. He brings the other rook. Now now how do you defend? How do you even defend this rook now? You cannot. You can try to move the queen, so this knight guards the rook, but he will just take the knight. So what do? That's what he does, by the way, and this absolutely just wins the game. This absolutely wins, but because the white would have a tremendous lead in development, and black cannot do anything. Black does not have the pieces out. This would absolutely be winning, and white would not be up a piece, because he did sacrifice one knight on b5 when he started the attack. So this move happened. Queen here, and here Morphy took the rook. Morphy took the rook because after this move you have to take back with the knight, right? If you take with the queen, obviously you just lose the queen, so that's no good. And so you have to take back with the knight. That's what he did. And now in this position, as you can see from the engine, there is a mate in 2. Now I'll give you a second if you want to try and find it, because this move went down in the history books, and this still made it 167 years into the future. In this video, the move here is queen to b8, which is given a brilliancy by the computer, because now the only move is knight takes b8. The king has nowhere to go, and the king is smothered on the back, and the game ended. with Morphy checkmating their opponents in this fashion. I mean, the moves are enough. I do not have to exaggerate anything. That's literally what happened. The two guys were playing with the black pieces, and they they got brutalized. I mean, look at this. They are up a queen and up a knight, and the king is dead. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how the most famous chess game ever played concluded.